So we're here today with Ken Karamichael from Georgian University. We have a partnership with Georgian long-term in a lot of ways that we're going to discuss today, from commercial sponsorship development to some strategic work that we're going to discuss today. I'm Larry Aaron, a partner in pleOS agency. I'm in charge of strategy and creative direction. And then we've got Vic, who's going to introduce himself, my partner.
My name is Vic Nichols. I am actually a partner also in pleOS, CEO and partner in pleOS agency. And we're just so excited to be able to have you here, my friend, so we can really talk about some of the stuff that we've been doing for you and how it can, help other folks.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Vic, for inviting me. So Ken Karamichael, Associate Vice President of Professional Studies and Business Development. Probably the longest title at the university. But if you think about it, it's sort of this sort of Ma Bell, and connect the university resources to industry, to nonprofits, to bridge that gap between the resources we have on campus to beyond Ocean, Monmouth, and the rest of the state.
Wonderful. So one of the big things that we talk about a lot, and we're going to discuss this today, how we did this together with you. We talk about assessments, otherwise known as audits, but assessments as the beginning stage of strategy and how important it is. If you don't know, internally, everybody thinks they know what they are and how the public perceives them and their stakeholders, but the reality externally looking in is really important to find out. So we often talk about how we can help identify gaps competitively, what everyone else is doing in the marketplace, what are the changes, what things have had influence on your business and the way you go to market. And that's where we started with strategy with you, was a pretty decent assessment that we had done. It ended up being a culmination of about 20 pages, but over 100 pages in research. And we wanted to talk a little bit about this today. Why at the time when we started to do this, it was important, and the kind of things, the learnings that you got from it, and how it's going to have impact going forward. Specifically coming off of COVID and the change in higher ed and all the questions people are having about getting an education and getting a degree, and what the kind of things that we learned internally and externally from
so
this.
all the simple things, right?
All that stuff.
All the easy ones, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
So a couple things to think about too. So in my role, and came into Georgian after COVID, and the goal was to create, in essence, to develop a whole new initiative, whole new unit around workforce development, credentialing, really alternative revenue, all the things that are non-traditional, non-tuition based. How can we grow that? So
I remember our initial conversations.
100%. So higher ed, I would even say I'm going to say pre-COVID continues to need itself. And so you can do that by adding more programs. You could do that by working with additional industry partners and have pipelines or pathways to stronger career opportunities for students. Or you can do it by looking at the assets you have on campus, figuring out how to rework, monetize basically those assets. So we have a mansion, right? An 1800 mansion from the old Gould estate. And what can we do? How can we use that building to sort of bridge the interest of coming onto campus while also identifying some alternative rental income along the way? So when I came in, part of the aspect was to look at this alternative revenue model and create a roadmap. And so for me and for this process, it was pretty straightforward, because it was building a new entrepreneurship endeavor. There were little starts around workforce development. Every university has some form of that, whether it's for credit, non-credit, or credentialing. And at Georgian what we wanted to do was be very targeted, very understood as to who we can help, how we can help them, and how quickly we can help them. And so the aspect of reaching out to your team, both you and others, was to help us create that roadmap, help us look at, what is, where do you want to go with your vision, right? So it's a startup basically at that point. And then internally, what are the perceptions of your faculty, your staff, the people that are working with you 5 feet away from you? Do they understand what this Center for Professional Studies is, this alternative revenue model, this new outreach to campus and community? And then what is it? What's the interpretation in the industry? And then how do we synthesize that? Where are the gaps? Are there gaps? There were gaps. We found a number of aspects of people's interpretation of what we thought we were going or where we're headed. Some thought, hey, we're in Ocean County, so one of our markets, one of our audiences are the seniors within Ocean County. As many know, as Toms River and beyond, the leisure villages and Crestwood villages, high senior retired population. How can we bring activities, workshops, programs, life activities to that population while also, hey, we've got the largest, industrial park here in Lakewood in Ocean County. How do we serve those needs as well? And so in order to do that, I said, hey, I need some experts. I need to look at this. I need to unpack it. I need to be strategic about where we should be looking. What does the industry have out there now? I mean, it's great for us because we're the premier 4-year institution in Ocean County. So that elevates us in that aspect. But there's a lot of competition in higher ed. And so we look towards this sort of developing a roadmap and strategic plan with pleOS.
It was interesting because one of the things I remember in the very beginning was your competitors were starting to get closer and closer to your environment, whereas before you were in a certain area in Lakewood and you never worried about the 3 or 4 that were a little further away, and then suddenly they're putting billboards and actively going after your same target.
Yeah, so when you say that, so we've got real great local partners, right? So Brookdale Community College, Ocean County College, the pipelines from K through 12 to 2-year, to 4-year exist. My job is to strengthen them, add some new stuff. We're looking at dual enrollments. We're going to be working with Asbury Park High School. We're going to do esports, all these other initiatives, media production, stuff like this within the industry as we respond to the growth of television and film across the state, including the Netflix studios that is slated to roll out over the next few years in Monmouth County. And so kind of combine all that stuff together and say, hey, let's put a plan together. So going back to the competition, others, other state schools and even out of state schools were putting, communications on Route 9. Most people think Turnpike. We've got it on the Turnpike also. New Jersey's hidden gem, baby.
Yeah.
Georgian University, you'll see it up there on 8A on the Turnpike and across the state. So we had other competitors coming in and driving, as they're driving to campus saying, hey, what's up with this school? And so we had to be even more strategic. So doing the needs assessment basically at first, and then where do we grow on marketing and outreach?
It was interesting that many times I've been doing assessments like this for almost 30 years. Many times internally, cultural shift and, people that have been at an institution for a long time, they're often nervous. They're often like, well, what do you want to know from us and why? And they're fairly paranoid that is this about reducing workforce and all that. And from the very beginning, what was very unique at Georgian University was the fact that everyone really got involved in this assessment and the learnings, and you expanded it out where we really were appreciative that it was about what is the brand about? What is the value proposition and how do you have some competitive stature in New Jersey specifically? And then what are the implications for marketing and then ultimately for selling, which was the new revenue? And that process, we included a lot of folks. So I don't know if you want to cover, I'll kind of lead you in.
Over 30 different, individuals.
30 interviews or so.
That was an important part before you even say that, because we actually conducted those interviews. I mean, we were sitting
live on campus.
Live on campus and sitting with these people. And I think probably one of the biggest...
We poo-pooed Zoom, but a couple squirt
right.
made themselves in, but 98% of it's
But I felt, when actually in doing these interviews and meeting with the people, they also felt like they were being heard.
They wanted a voice.
And they were heard. That I think was really somewhat cathartic for them and for us.
Yeah. So much of that was intentional. The aspect was let's go after this exercise of a needs assessment and then get me out of the way. Right. So I have a vision, I have an idea on that, but it was really, I was still coming in. There was rumblings of this program before we got there. So it wasn't a zero, startup, but it was definitely week 1, in the grand scheme of stuff, or inning 1, to keep a baseball reference. First inning is so if a school, another place wants to do something like this, it really has to, there's a couple things. One, you got to invite almost everybody without slowing it down, but you got to have all the key players that are in there from all the domains, from registrar to admissions to faculty to the cabinet members, fundraising, institutional advancement, those types of things, and really unpack. Be strategic. Your team came in very, very strict agendas. People knew what the flow was going to be, and was able to, really being heard was the most critical piece. Being able to unload, to download basically, what their thoughts were, and then take all that stuff in raw data, translate that into both a expanded report, and then also what was helpful for me, because I have multiple audiences, is the executive summary that you provided, where I'm then able to share it at the cabinet level to some board members, so that they can see the direction we're going in.
And a landscape, right? They can actually see the landscape.
And it's both wide and small at the same time.
Right.
And so there was a lot to unpack.
And I remember as we got started, we even interviewed some of your partners, which were your food service provider and event provider.
Vendors. Yep.
And also even some really great learning from the groundskeeper about what could be done on the property, and there's history there and all that. And those are things we would have just never gotten any other way, right? It was expanding that team and being very hands-on and listening to folks, and a lot came out of that. So when you've got the ultimate final executive report and you've got access to all of the content, what were you then able to start doing with it? I know we're at the beginning of that stage, but what were you able to do with it? And to this day, is it still helpful to give you directional paths for a roadmap across all aspects?
100%. So what it can and should and did do is help prioritize. Right. So when you as a startup and you've got all these different markets, right? So I talk about seniors, but now I also got the undergraduates. I've got parents. You know, when a family comes to Georgian Court, like, you know, we've got orientation kids moving in shortly. New kids come in every semester. We're small enough, nimble enough, and intentional. It's an our mission. It's an MRC mission. Our team is to look at the whole family. The whole school does, but we start with the family while the admissions is working on that traditional school-aged individual, and then see what their needs are. Father might be a small business owner and needs to expand they need training, or they need a CPA, and how can we help them find something like that? Or it is another family's in marketing and has social media, and they may want to volunteer and help, promote one of our baseball social media posts, because we now have a new baseball team. So that's been fun. We have a new esports team as well. And so the thought of, a lot of people say the whole child or the whole individual, the whole person. I'm looking at the whole family. I'm looking at, from grandma all the way down to, the little son or the brother that's in middle school.
Because that's where we're going to come from, right?
Yeah. And so I say middle school as well. Summer camps, summer programs also falls under alternative revenue, alternative programming that fits under me. And so that's summer soccer. We've got Red Bulls that come in. We've got MDS. We've got Girl State for American Legion, so Auxiliary American Legion hosts Girl State. 200 rising juniors and seniors in high school are coming to campus, spending a whole week there to strengthen their community service, their understanding of state and national politics, and to explore public service. But we'll go in any different direction. But my goal is to bring them onto campus, see the beauty of that 100+ acre campus, and get them thinking. Thinking higher ed in a different way. I'd love for some of them to come to Georgian Court, but we want to create pathways in any direction.
But so you brought up something in just that description, and the partners, the different partners that you're talking about, the strategic alliances, the folks that you're bringing in that are, some of them are massive organizations.
Yeah, we had,
right?
Well, so historically, universities may or may not, but if they do, they're at least connecting to the chambers, local chambers, and in Ocean and Monmouth County and across the state, lots of mini chambers. You guys work with the Meet the Mayors and you do all these other activities. One of the things was, hey, some of these state partners, people that I've known for years at my prior time back at Rutgers, is, the African American Chamber, right, of New Jersey. That is a large state entity. Statewide Hispanic Chamber and beyond. So we've got the local, we've got the MODCs and the Lakewood chambers, all the other I'll say traditional county-based, city-based chambers. And so let's bring in the state and then let's host their events. New Jersey Nursery Landscape Association is coming to, another good colleague will host their summer symposium on campus, which also is an arboretum. If we didn't say in one of the documents, it's also an arboretum. So it's one of New Jersey's. Yeah. It's a hidden gem. We're trying to no longer be a best kept secret, as many are trying.
And to the point you just made, so you can host them on site like you have.
Yep.
But also you're able to provide training to their constituents within their organizations. So it's really a sort of symbiotic community relationship you're forming with chambers, just chambers alone as one of your stakeholders. 100%.
And the aspect is while I'm at these meetings, I'm just listening. I'm doing the same thing. I'm listening to what the trends are. I'm listening to what the challenges are. Some are complaints, but many are challenges.
Right.
The workforce is a challenge. Finding the next qualified individual, they'll get a lot of resumes, but they're not, you got to weed through and maybe get 2 to 5%. That people will be happy with 5-10% of directly qualified, ready to work individuals. And so I listen to that and try to, cultivate, not completely a concierge type, but to be
as close as you can get, though. Right?
Yeah, customized. I'd say customized programs to meet those needs, and nonprofits as well, like Habitat for Humanity's Northern Ocean. We've done strategic planning meetings with them and trainings, and so I know what we have at the university. I know the expertise of our faculty members. Ranked number 1 in New Jersey. Look at that bad boy up. Yeah. Ranked number 1 in New Jersey. Another one of those hidden gems. And if I know the knowledge base there and I know the needs, then I kind of go back to that Ma Bell thing. So I try to connect the two and say, hey, we've got a great wellness program, right? So if a corporation wants to expand wellness beyond just the physical fitness or the fitness center membership, how about somebody come in and talk to them? And we're able to send faculty members to locations, which is that part of that nimble piece. And
Yeah, which I'm sure that a lot of people can't do. But again, it's people knowing that
Yep.
and then being able to implement and doing it in a way that's efficient for everyone.
yeah,
Right.
So a report like this helps synthesize my brain, which is got a lot of cool ideas, and really those are all based off of people's needs or interests that they've shared with me, and help you prioritize and say, okay, if you want to do marketing, which avenue are you going to focus on? Social media first? If so, why? If I'm a systems thinker, so I'm a predicate logic. If then X, Y, and all those things. And so, if social media, why? How much do we have? How deep do we think it'll go? What's the return expected? Did it work? Reset. And a report like that helps you. I'm also a bowler, so I think about bumpers. That gives me the 2 bumpers to stay within the front and back.
Actually, Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you think about some of the things that you've been able to implement, even just recently, movie shoots on campus to utilize
film
your
and
campus,
television,
right?
yeah. Under
That's
my world.
revenue generation.
Yep.
Esports and everything that you've done with esports being hosted, it's pretty unbelievable, right? That now you have a whole different aspect to what you're offering, and it's really a community-based aspect.
Three state champions every year. Garden State Esports, Chris and the team there is pretty awesome. 3 state championships, over 2,500 per event, over 7,000 individuals. Primarily high school, but we're releasing another aspect where the collegiate finals will be held on campus as well. So we've got middle, high school, and collegiate finals.
Look at the visibility there alone.
Yeah, and that's a byproduct of thinking strategically from something like that, and then really finding the right energy of partners that want to grow, and not everything's going to stick, and not everything's
and that's not really the objective. The objective is then to find the things that do stick. Right.
And then so my wife's a horticulturist, and then how to fertilize that, right?
Yeah,
I'm looking at plants all over the place here and how to make them grow. And so if you have a structure, have some good ideas, have some good energy, great energy, untiring energy, and a good team of faculty members, faculty, staff, community partners, you can chip away at that list of what the individuals, when they say, I want to be heard. Everything we've done is a result of something that came out of one of those interviews.
Yeah, and there's been some things that are short term and then some that are longer. I know that one of the aspects that came out of the interviews were an incredible amount of intellectual capital sitting in a lot of faculty minds.
100%.
And it might not just be, hey, I teach nursing. It might be a hobby that they have that they're really good at. And one of the things that we've been talking about and wanting to work towards in the future is, how do you sort of put product in a box?
Right.
How do we make a kit so that everyone that has an idea...
You too can buy Georgian Court branded tea. We have Mrs. Gold's green tea. Yeah,
exactly. So how do we systematize ideas and intellectual capital from faculty members that we can now turn into certificate programs and other things that generate new revenue? So
I'll share. Let me share one of the byproducts, and as a result of the work you all did with us, is we have a new Ritchie Center, and it's about mostly hosting talks and bringing in the community and really great speakers, authors, and the like. Some authors that we both know, some from Vayner as well. So some crossover. Right. We'll talk about synergies a little bit. But what we ended up doing, it's so how do you corral all those ideas? Right. Well, it's a world of technology, so it seems overly structured, but the aspect was we've got our own internal intranet, form. Fill out this form. Here's a link. Fill out the form. Your idea, when you want to do it, what's your audience, all the things you think you have in place, and then the mechanics behind for my team. We'll worry about marketing. We'll worry about outreach. We'll brainstorm with you about sub-markets and things like that, and let the experts do what they do, which is content. SMEs, we always talk about subject matter experts. Let them do what they do. Our team is the mechanics behind marketing, logistics, getting the students in there, and then keeping a relationship going for new ideas. So we did it technology. We did it, a form-based activity. And then when that comes in and they hit submit, it goes off to 4 or 5 different people. A logistics team, a content expert team, Dr. Capucci, who reviews it and says, hey, this is great. How can we do this? When can we do this? And then we circle back and look at, again, how to prioritize those things.
And how to bring them to life.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do they actually end up becoming a
right,
program?
implementation,
within-
right? The actual implementation. Ideas are one thing, then you've got to get down to implementation.
Yeah. So a study like this needs assessment and that sort of roadmap. If you go too far off in like ideas, and you've got a team of faculty members, staff members that are really like, hey, I want to do all these different things. Yeah. You could do a TV timeout and say, let's go back. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the document and say, okay,
let's distill this.
Where's
down,
it fitting? And you can go all the way deep into that, and many do, and I do. You can go into the SWOT analysis aspect,
Sure.
But you could do a light version of that. Right?
Yeah.
You could do a quick scan.
Well, you can be nimble, right? You can be. Nimble.
We use that with the same structure for pursuing grants. Who's it for? Who can apply? Mm-hmm. What's the timing? Are we ready? How much is it allowable? What expenses could be there? And then really, then the foundation of that is, what does our audience, chambers, current students, undergraduates, parents and stuff need and want? And if those things fit, then we pursue.
Mm-hmm.
So far, we've been talking a lot about assessments and how important they are strategically. And everyone should do them. I mean, we preach this a lot, that
almost everyone.
And they don't have to be let's the other one. They don't have to, just so people know, they don't have to be overwhelming. One of the aspects is that you can do, you helped me on this also, is you can do, I'm not going to call it assessment light, but you can do assessment 1.0, which is, getting the initial lay of the land, or at least the inventory of assets and people you need to talk to.
Right.
I feel like I'm reading your brochure now. I'm like, I remember that statement.
I mean, they're customized, right? So we did a massive assessment for the largest healthcare insurance provider in the state of New Jersey.
Yep.
And it was about all of their process and go-to-market. And we helped them kind of get that focus with technology, branding, marketing. But then we'll customize it to, it could be a small area that someone's looking to expand, and we still come in and take a look at all of the same aspects: branding, marketing, sales, and technology. So we've been talking mostly about internally how this affected you and the things that were able to come from this. But externally, you're also very involved with us on other things, and you have been even before Georgian University. This is an area that's very near and dear to Vic's heart because he drives this for pleOS. In the partnership and commercial, sponsorship development, we've had things, and we'll talk about them a little, and Vic will talk about this a little bit. A lot of things that we do custom events. So Meet the Mayors, our second year doing Meet the Mayors. We'll talk about that. Georgian Court has been a sponsor. We do an activation together. We sit down as partners and say, what are the things we can do? What do we want to get out of it? What do you want to get out of it? Same thing with the Newark Bound Magazine event that we have every year that you've been involved with as well. So custom events and the way that we target audiences at this event, we sit down with partners like yourself that are long-term, that we have the same vision of the things that we want to do in those events. Thrive in Atlantic City, which was that big event that we had. You also were involved with Kelsey Grammer that you brought in with his Faith Brewing and beer.
Faith American,
Yeah, so those kind of things, you're out there. You're not just doing marketing and driving some of the strategies that we talked about. You're literally out there physically and supporting a lot. And we know alone, just from the bunch that you've done with us, that you're out there actively pursuing partnerships. So let's talk about partnerships for a few minutes 100%. And why they're so important. And Vic, if you want to kind of kick into it, because this is what you preach a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the partnerships are some of the things that people don't realize how important it is to create those kind of visionary partnerships, okay? It has to be good for both parties or all parties involved. And I think a lot of people approach these partnerships with like, oh, this is what I need. You know what I mean? This is what I need. Well, what you need is absolutely important, but you have to also make sure that you know the person that you're partnering with, whether it's an organization or what it is, that they are, that it's going to be mutually beneficial. And that was one of the reasons why, when we started working together, you got it immediately. A lot of people don't. And then we help. If you don't get it, we can help strategize with that and build those relationships and aid in the building of that so that it moves smoothly and everybody gets out of it what they need.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing too, and every time we talk about partnerships and strategy, if you can combine those two, is how do you take it's relationships, right? So a partnership is very, very transactional, right? And so one of the things, and I think why we continue to work together, is that can you convert from transactional to transformational? That sounds very high rate of.
I like. Well, it sounds like a T-shirt to me. But I like that.
Exactly. Hashtag 12%, please.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
No, but seriously, how do you take something to go from transactional, which can be very, black and white, to transformational? Because a lot of these things are, again, I'm going to go to horticulture and the aspect you're planting a seed, right? Some of the things we talked about or have talked about, are just sitting dormant, right? And I'm not going to say dead on the vine because although that'd be composting, so that's okay. But
That's okay because we're put back in.
Points from the wife, good stuff.
Yeah.
But the aspect is being able to really understand that some of the ideas are going to grow faster than the others.
Right.
Some ideas take dollars. Some ideas take just strategic thought and brainstorming. Some of them is like you often know. This morning you posted another one of your lunches. Hey, great things can happen when you meet in person. Yeah. Awesome aspect and some other activities I know you're doing in the coming weeks is it goes back to the energy. If you get truly authentic and sincere people, partners. So I'm saying people.
That's it.
I got rid of partners. I'm saying people.
Yeah.
If you can combine those sincere, authentic, you can be strategic, but you still need to be sincere. That's where you get long-term partnerships, long-term relationships. And what that translates to is amplification, right? And amplification when I'm not in the room, when you're not in the room. Am I talking about pleOS? Correct. Am I talking about pleOS and the resources that you have when I'm down in Camden County somewhere at another higher ed meeting or so? And are you talking about GCU or some other initiative that we may have together when I'm not in the room?
Right.
And when that happens, things happen organically, and then you just have to be ready to respond as they grow.
Right.
So if that answers some of what you're...
No, it does. Some of the things that we've done together...
And you got to have fun. You got to have fun along the way.
Always
Amen,
fun,
brother.
Always fun. That we preach that in everything that we do and with all of our client work too. So some of the things that we've done together actually start leading into other areas and other opportunities. And I think you mentioned it, so let's talk about it a little bit. The introduction with Gary Vee and his team with Vayner.
Yep.
And then you took that, and Vic, you can introduce how that all happened, but you took that and then you kind of ran with it and made it a part of the education over at Georgian University.
Correct.
As far as some of the classwork. So that's the things that people don't realize, that a partnership and a commercial sponsorship is not just about where you're going to stick my logo and give me a table. That's done with. And my last comment on that, and I'll tag team you on this. We've gotten more and more away from, I'm going to be the silver, the bronze, the gold, the platinum sponsor. And those things are dead. They're dead. Right now, we're partners with bringing TEDx Newark 2026 to life.
Yep.
There is no platinum, silver, gold anymore. We're customizing the sponsorship to exactly what your needs and goals are. And then we sit down and we figure that out as true partners versus saying, here, you're just going to fit in here for how much money you have. It's not about that anymore.
No, because people might not want half the things that you're offering.
Well, correct. And so there's a little more work to that, which I'm impressed and excited to see develop, because that's kind of, again, I'm going to use the word concierge without it sounding like you're at some spa, you know, in some far off country across the
with mud
across the world. Hashtag you did do that.
Yes, I did do that.
Hello, Slovakia.
We'll get to that later.
So yeah, no, it's being able to, I'm going to say, this feels like it's another cliche, but sort of trust the process, right? And that process is buying into the sincerity and authenticity of each other,
right?
Agency level, individual level, and then sponsor level and donors types of things, and say, okay, how can we have? Because there are some sponsors say, I need a box to fit. It's the way our system works. I need a box to fit. The customization is not going to work, and
that's fine.
But
you can always do that.
Correct.
Well, the customization still works. They'll say, we just need an ad in your magazine. Or they'll say, we just need a table. We're like, simple customization, but you got it. Versus, what if we did this, this, and this? You had brought, I'll use Thrive as an example. A big event we had in Atlantic City at the convention center. It was for 50 plus people in health, looking for alternatives in life. And when you brought in Kelsey Grammer and you brought in David Burke together, the synergies, even when David Burke, who's, if everybody knows the chef, David Burke, he's got like 19 restaurants now. Him and Kelsey really hit it off at that event. And that suddenly led to fostering relationships beyond just, oh, this was a standard partnership. We show up, it was a sponsorship, we leave, whatever. There's more than that. There's
Well,
relationships.
That's the transformational part.
Yeah,
So that's the
exactly.
part. Transactional is, hey, you've got this time slot, you've got this room. You might meet each other. You kind of want to meet each other. Somebody wants to do this.
Right.
It's so I'm a big fan of creating moments, creating meaningful moments and things like that, and then believing that on that sort of organic, iterations and stuff. So yeah, I mean that's that. Let's go back for a second. You talked about Vayner for a moment. So
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So Vic gets Vic's part of another network of networks, right? And an aspect comes up about a book and this, what in essence is a textbook type design, a workbook, a toolkit. Vic sees it, hears about it, and says, "Hey, this looks very much like something Ken would understand. This looks like something that you weren't even thinking GCU at the time, other than." Books to youth. So
Correct.
I guess you were thinking the school.
I was, but I knew
not-
you would get it. I knew
Yeah.
you would get it.
So he invites us, the president and I, we go to a really great book launch. It's the NASDAQ bell ringing. There's another synergy of non-traditional ways of amplifying.
Exactly.
So Gary Vee says, I'm not just going to do a book signing or book launch. Let's combine it with a NASDAQ bell ringing.
Yeah.
Let's really amplify Vayner in a different way. I had my Gary Vee shoes that the classics. I should have worn them today, but classics. And he was like, "What? Where'd you get these?" But I had them in the closet for a good decade and a half. Saying there's going to be a day, and I almost left without them. But I put them on. I'm like, this is pretty slick. I brought them separate. I didn't want to walk the streets in all the gum, but I kept old school, brand new. These K-Swiss kicks from Gary Vee, and you kind of just create these moments, types of things. And so, you introducing a book translated to us reviewing it, me reviewing it, the dean reviewing it, and saying, "Hey, this the president opening it up and saying, wow, this looks really good." And me at the time, and still are, teaching social media marketing, and I said, "Wait, this has got to be an add-on to the class. Let's
Exactly.
make this book part of the class, supplementing with a bunch of videos as well to bring real-world examples." I mean, a lot of textbooks in any day, marketing specifically, will have, "Hey, and this is what large company X is doing," and you kind of follow it. But the speed of which marketing is moving, the speed of which innovation is moving, you got to have a blend of a hard copy, Georgian, hey guys, hard copy resource as well as an online,
Because it's evolving.
Yep.
And once you understand that the evolution, and when those opportunities come up, and the fact that you just said that, is that you also have to be playing heads up ball. Okay. You have to see where those opportunities are and say, you know what, that might be a good fit. Let's pick up the phone. Let's do that, send that text or whatever it is, because that could have gone unnoticed.
Yeah.
It could have gone unnoticed.
And correct, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's so one of those things is like, so I'm a baseball player, was back in the day, and you think about, for those who are ball players, you think about, hey, when you saw the entire outfield shift positions, and now they've stopped it and they said, "Oh, don't go crazy with what you do on your field positions," but you would shift. Now you're shifting because you're anticipating something. You may anticipate it. In that case, this person's never going to pull the ball, has never pulled the ball before. You could kind of sit on first base and nothing's going to happen. If you can anticipate some of those things, and this goes back to, you got to be in the room, you got to be at the places and see things. And then this is another one of those Gary Vee initiatives or mantras, is that, you got to show up. Right, you got to show up, and it doesn't mean you have to succeed at everything, but you got to show up.
Be there. You got to be in
And
the room.
so we infused from a text into a call, into a leap of faith, into a trip into New York, into a book, into a textbook, and then infuse videos as well as if you've got live content, if you've got relative content coming out, that's easy for me to insert into a course.
But this little example, you starting off because your relationships with James Orsini and Gary Vee and the organization there, and then your eyes constantly being open for partnerships and those that we have relationships with. That wasn't about specifically a commercial sponsorship. It was about, where can this opportunity go?
Yep.
Then he plugs you in. But the master class here, and I give both of you kudos for this, is what you then did with it. First of all, at that event, you were incredibly active. You were in a lot of the photos. You were active, but it was important, right?
Like I was hanging out with the mascot. I was a mascot before. I got to hang out with this guy.
But you were maximizing your ROI for coming to the event and being involved.
A little bit.
And then the magic is not what happens at the event. You always preach this. It's what happens after the event. And what you did after the event was literally take this textbook idea and build that into curriculum.
Yep.
That's where the magic happened. It wasn't that you were at the event. That was great. And you were able to now make that connection, but it was what you took and went with it. We wish every commercial sponsorship that we get involved with and every partner and people that we know would take it that far.
I'm not going to reach over the table, but the GCU magazine right there, you flip to page 18 or 20 something, and there's a picture of the president, myself, and Gary up at the NASDAQ. It's where can you continue the legs? So that was a celebratory thank you as well as an amplification. And so
So on that point, commercial sponsorships, partnerships, the people that we want to work with and get to know in the relationships we have, everybody talks about ROI. The ROI is the relationship.
Yes.
What you do with it thereafter is
that
how
is the R in ROI.
No, I 100%. And I think stay here for a second, because the aspect of, you could go all the way down to cost savings, full cost accounting on this other stuff. Like I have an idea or I need to reach out. Well, who do you reach out? Where do you go? Like the value of that network, right? So the R in the relationship, and the ability for someone to just give a call and we'll text, hey, you got an idea or whatever it is, or it's something that going to be in the area of Lakewood. Want to stop by campus, say hello, whatever. You get to a point where you can minimize the amount of chatter.
That's a good way to
text
put
each other quickly and say, hey, let's
make this
explore.
happen.
And the proof in the pudding with you
If
is
that
that
makes
it's
sense.
been going on for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got involved with the Hambletonian because of the relationship with Andrea over at Meadowlands Racing and Entertainment.
Yep.
And then suddenly you were part of that event, and then you took it and ran with that event also. So
no pun intended.
Sometimes we make the introductions either in an agreement where there's sponsorship agreements and all that, and sometimes it's introductions we make because we see an opportunity. It fits right in that peg. And those that take it and run with it and make it into something, you are definitely one of those that get it more than we've seen more than anyone. I mean, you're really, really good at that.
I appreciate that.
Really
so you have to have the other ones is respect and trust, right? So you're trusting me to come in and represent that extended relationship.
True.
I then have to share and respect back and show you that I value that trust by making sure that that event runs smoothly. That component, whether it's 5 minutes or
whatever it is,
wackiness of when I jump around like what I do, but it's based on sincerity of making that event, that moment, more meaningful to all the participants. So all the people that were there to see the hats and to see the race and do all that stuff. Oh, and by the way, we strategically placed Faith American Brewing and Kelsey Grammer right in the heart of where all this people would go, and they weren't aware that was going to happen. Many showed up, didn't know it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And get to just really experience something very different. That's where, to me, you get legs and momentum and amplification that allows you to then pick up a phone a little bit later and not have to go through minutes and hours or tons of writing to sort of pitch an idea. You kind of just call and say, hey, this is what there is. And to further along the Vayner aspect, there are other senior members of the Vayner world that are now new authors, soon to be best-selling authors. And we will have them. We will have her. This is like a sneak peek. I'm dropping some ideas about Chloe, but we will have her on campus and we'll do a book release and meet with students and talk. And so it doesn't mean it has to happen in 3 hours, 3 months. No. It may be.
We're playing a long game.
Yep. So that's been great. The one that you had mentioned earlier about Atlantic City, Thrive, that was another intersection of half a dozen to a dozen people that we all work with in different industries to converge in Atlantic City to pitch a stronger, thoughtful wellness, both physical and financial wellness. And then we inserted a bunch of other things about, hey, check out this small business owner. Oh, what? Right. Kelsey Grammer, small business owner. There's nothing small about this guy. This guy's, this guy's awesome. He's got all these different things going on, but he is a small business when it comes to the beer.
Yeah.
Right. And so when he's there, he's representing his small business aspect. side by side with David Burke and others. So it's pretty cool to see.
That was a
You got
special night.
spin-off times where there's, you've got these guest appearance vocalists that pop in every once in a while. I know there's one in the production studio right now listening in. She's a rock star.
Well, absolutely. But that's what we do.
I think somewhere in here.
That's what we do here.
Actually, remember the funny aspect of this when I see David Burke again. I'm a vegan. I don't eat meat. I haven't eaten meat in 15 years.
Yeah,
And
you had to
I'm the
work the
one
station.
serving the bacons that he. So
you
I'm
had
sitting
to
there
work.
prepping bacon
We have
for
that
all
on
the
film,
guests
too.
in the
I'm like,
entire
is this the most
convention
Yeah,
center.
yeah.
And it was funny because he was laughing at me. He's like, "Well, sorry, I needed help, and you offered."
No, you did that well. And
I remember that was hysterical.
yeah, so you've got to see it. You've got to, you talk about being in the right position, but you've got to see it and then just be sincere. But you also have to respect, whose event it is and kind of say, hey, this is something we want to try to do and whatnot,
Yeah, no, that's all it's about is but making sure you're paying attention. Right.
And on video, I'm going to thank you because you've been a sponsor
forever.
and a partner forever, way before Georgian Court, but since Georgian Court, of all the different types of things we do, and you help us assess and make each one of those events better. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
And I appreciate you guys. I mean, it's easy for me to latch on when good things are happening in all parts. I don't even say the state now; it's all parts of the world. So
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another video.
People often say, I've got a lot of energy, but I look at Vic's world and I get tired. I'm actually never tired, but it's
No, you're not
Ever.
Yeah, it's exciting, but
Okay.
But I thank you for this. It's one of those aspects where if a group, if there's anyone watching this that's really not just in higher ed, but specifically higher ed and even nonprofits, and you want to do it, sort of self-assessment, strategic planning, really understand where you want to go and grow, pleOS would be a good spot to make
Thank
your
you.
next call.
And just as importantly, anyone that wants to further themselves and their family and their career, there's a lot of opportunity at Georgian Court University. A lot of opportunity. And you're creating new things all the time.
All the time. We've got online classes rolling out. I'll do a little drop coming this new year, so January. You think it's far, but it's not.
It's
2
not.
feet
It's right
away.
here. Yeah.
Is we will be expanding our services and doing a lot more with active duty military down at the Joint Base.
Which is a prime example of what we've been talking about as far as intersections are concerned, because we've been talking about launching a new magazine, a veterans magazine for the state of New Jersey. So all of these intersections, right? And then we bring all of this together. This is a prime example.
Yeah, and just enjoy the innovation. That's what I would say is to have some fun while doing it. So
We appreciate you very much.
Thanks, my
Thank
brother.
you.
thanks, gents.
All right.
Good times.